Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Everything House Music and More. And my special guest today, I believe, is one of the youngest one in the game right now.
I guess.
And I have to say, I'm saying it right now so you can see me, E, that you are one of my favorite producers and remixers out there right now, brother.
Thank you, man.
I got a
listen,
privilege to work with.
That means a lot. Much respect. Your legacy speaks for itself, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
No doubt.
We have the man himself, Eric Welton, a.k.a. DJ Emmaculate. What's going on, brother?
What up, bro? Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, thank you for being here. I'm just want to know, are you ready to get into it?
Of course.
Let's do it, brother. So we're going to do something a little different right now, man, since this coming off the high of the NRDM, the hip house documentary that you was a part of.
No doubt.
I'm seeing all the comments through everything, man, and I just want your feedback. That's why I really wanted you, man, because we discussed this.
Yes.
But I want you to tell the audience, man, that you have a lot of people like, well, it's cool, but it wasn't the Chicago DNA that we thought it would be.
Right.
You missed a lot of people in the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go ahead and just tell everybody, man, your part in this. And then we'll get to your history of how you got into this thing we call house music.
For sure.
All right.
No doubt. Well, starting off, I'm one of the executive producers on the documentary. Kind of one of the co-creators along with Terry Hunter, Kelly G, and Nolan Baines.
Right.
That started with the four of us. And in our DNA, for clarity, in our DNA does not mean Chicago DNA.
Okay.
In Our DNA is the start of a series that 300 Studios, Kevin Lyle's company, is going to be doing, telling Black music stories. So In Our DNA is talking about Black American music and different stories, different genres, different regions.
So the first series was
the first one is hip house.
Wow. Okay.
We started developing an overall house music documentary concept,
right,
and we landed with an opportunity to do something specifically about hip house with Comcast, centered around the 50th year of hip hop.
Okay.
So that was kind of why we decided to split out our hip house chapter from the main story,
right,
and do this.
Yeah.
So the thing I think that needs to be clarified is that it was never intended for this documentary to be solely about Chicago hip house or Chicago house.
Okay.
The overall arc of the story is the intersection of rap, hip hop, and dance music, house music, from the 70s to the present.
Gotcha.
Hip house is kind of like the middle nucleus of it.
Right.
And that was how I'll say that fusion really got popularized.
Okay.
When it did, starting in 88, right?
Yeah.
But
87, 88,
yeah. When you look at it, hip hop started with rapping over dance music.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Sugar Hill Gang.
Exactly. So the story was never intended to be, okay, we're going to do a comprehensive documentary that covers every figure and every nook and cranny of the story of Chicago house and Chicago hip house.
Right.
And when you have 90 minutes, and you understand this because you've gotten into production.
Yes.
This is new for us, for Terry and I, getting into film production.
Yeah.
It was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
90 minutes is not a long time. You got 3 30-minute episodes to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
That means you're not going to cover every little bit of the story. You're not going to cover every record. You're not going to cover every person.
Right.
Along the way of that, you reach out to a lot of people that you want to interview that either A, refuse it,
right,
B, they're not available when you're shooting. You're working on a budget. You're working on time constraints.
Okay.
So you have those shoot days. Like you came and you did our interview.
Yes.
We had 2 days to shoot.
Right.
You're going to get whoever you can get in those 2 days.
Absolutely. So,
and some people are out of town. Some people ain't available. And when you have a deadline and you got to turn this project into your customer, who in this case was Comcast, you got to make it happen.
So you're saying that you reached out some of the people that really should have been in this interview, like say M-Doc, Steve Hurley,
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Absolutely.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, everybody like that.
100%.
Ralphie Rosario, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can't say for certain that somebody contacted Ralphie in this particular story, but the others that you mentioned, 100%.
Yeah, I know you said Bad Boy Bill, Julian.
Yeah, Bad Boy Bill.
Right.
I don't know if anybody reached out to Julian or not. I know we reached out to Bill. I know we reached out to Mr. Lee, Steve Hurley.
Because that
M-Doc is living in LA.
Yeah.
We didn't do a shoot in LA.
Okay.
Fortunately, we got Tyree because Tyree don't live in Chicago now.
Yeah.
Fortunately, our shoot happened to be when Tyree was in town.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd had to try to figure out how to fly him in because obviously he's super important to the story.
Right.
So, what ends up happening is you get who you get. Yeah. There were other people that we interviewed. Like we got a whole interview with Freedom Williams that got left on the cutting room floor
and that's from
because we couldn't clear the Gonna Make You Sweat record. And that's the other part that people don't know about is that you want to play this music on the screen, but if people that don't understand the business don't know, you have to license this music.
Absolutely.
And you have a time constraint and a budget constraint with that. So if I'm a record nerd,
right?
And I come off the generation that grew up under hip house in the late 80s. So like when I was a teenager, that shit was super cool. Yeah. I'm a fan of it. Maybe we don't play those records, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like coming up as a teenager, dancing and doing a Running Man and all that, that was the shit to us.
So that's what
I wish we could have covered every little bit of it, but it's not realistic. And also when you're working with a team of people who are not all from Chicago and want to tell their part of the story too, like there's a lot of Baltimore in there. Yeah. DJ Spen was involved. Yeah. Kevin Liles is a Baltimore cat. Yep. You know what I mean? We wanted to tell New York, even though it came second for clarity. Right. Was a big part of popularizing hip house. And so you want to cover all those bases.
And you got to take the fact that you guys not 100% editing the video right there and then.
No, exactly. So, there's a team. We're executive producers. Exactly. We're not doing the hands-on. Right.
So we know
we're reviewing what they did and giving our opinions.
Absolutely. And we know the person who narrates that editing, man, tells that story the best. Yeah. So I get it. But I just wanted you to clarify that, man, because me knowing the behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't know that, they'll see it, then they'll be like, oh man, why wasn't so-and-so in there? Or why didn't they have more Fast Eddie or anything? But like you said, you was telling the story. And I know everybody sat down for almost 2 to 3 hours. We know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I know I sat for like 2.5 hours and
you had a lot of great contributions in it. And hey, look, at the end of the day, Maurice, it's just like with your podcast.
Yes, sir.
If somebody else has a different vision and they think they should be done differently, you should go do one. You should go do one and enjoy ours or don't.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And what I was telling Terry and everybody, man, and Kelly G, that I just prayed and wished, man, that Chicago could just put away all the animosity against each other and just do something right for the culture.
For sure.
And that's how New York do. No matter if they got beefs or whatever, but they say they say the same narrative in the story over and over again, so people know their history.
Definitely, I think that and this is coming from somebody that came up in the a couple generations after the first wave. When I've had the blessing of becoming friends with a lot of these guys and having a lot of conversations with the OGs that started were part of starting it. And from the outside looking in, I do wish that there was more camaraderie, a little less infighting, more cooperation. Yeah. Because it does seem like New York does that. Like they ran with that narrative. And there's a lot of people that poke holes in that narrative too about the Cool Herc Party and the 50th year. And there wasn't a hip hop record or a rap record until 79, but we're still saying 73.
But they still go along with it.
They go along with the narrative because it's good for business.
Absolutely.
And everybody eats. Well, a lot of people eat. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I'm glad we got that out the way, the first go, man, because that's what I'm saying. It was a hot topic. And I want to make sure we get to it so people be like, yeah, let me hear E on this.
Well, you know what? You said something to me when we talked on the phone too, and that's if you're going to jump in this thing, whether it's media or whatever, if you're going to get out in the field and play, people are going to criticize you.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that because I'd rather be on the field playing than sitting in the stands watching other people play.
Boy, look, it ain't even Sunday. You're preaching right now.
I'm just trying to say. And we accept creative criticism and constructive criticism, but there's also going to be crabs that's going to talk.
Absolutely.
And that's life. It's like putting out a record.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to hate on your record.
Absolutely. Same thing with the podcast. People, so we get it. I get it. I understand it, brother. I just want to make sure you was telling your side of the story so people know, man. So now we moving along to 1990.
Yes, sir.
Tell me the Eric Welton story from 1990. You just coming into the scene DJ.
Well, I'll say really 88, 89 is when I discovered house music. So for me, I'm 48.
Okay.
I don't mind telling my age.
Right.
I'm younger, but not young. I'm not a spring chicken. So I'm 13, 14 years old. Okay. 88, 89 house music is super popular, right?
Right.
And that was like the beginnings of hip house. So
and what were you listening to? Name some records
I was Fast Eddie all day. You know what I'm saying? Like my entry into house music was I grew up in Elgin.
Yeah.
And we had a teen club out there called Discovery. The
Was
DJ
that
was Kevin Halstead.
Was Tony Batoy part of Discovery?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You ever heard of Kevin Halstead?
I have.
He passed away, but Kevin Halstead was the DJ there.
Okay.
And they used to play freestyle and heartthrob and all that kind of stuff. And they used to play house, you know, and having friends at school, they had mixtapes or whatever. Yeah. You know, you had the radio. So my entry into house music was what was popular.
Right.
You know, French Kiss.
Absolutely.
Fast Eddie, you know, and then I started to get interested and actually buy some records.
Okay.
I went through the experience of trying to do pause mixes and having one turntable.
Okay.
I officially really started to try to DJ in 1990 when I was 15.
Now, who was teaching you? Did you teach yourself?
No, I was self-taught.
Wow.
I was completely self-taught in the beginning. And I had 2 turntables that didn't have pitch control at all. They didn't have the dial on the front.
Not the SLB1.
So and if you watch me play vinyl to this day, I still have the bad habit of putting my finger on the platter and spinning the record. Because that's how I learned how to mix. It's like you got to either slow the record down with your finger or push it along like this. Okay. You know, and then I got the turntables. I don't know what they are, SLBD10 or whatever the hell they are with the little
SLB1s and B2s,
something like that. And you put the your little dial
in. Yep.
You take the little marker and mark where the 0 is.
Yep.
And you know, so I started to do that and just kind of figure it out. I didn't have a mentor to teach me how to do it. I would say the big bang for me, bro, was so I had all of these kind of like surface popular house records at the beginning. I didn't know like the era before that. Right. You know, the foundational stuff. I didn't know. Yeah. Some of this stuff I had heard, but I didn't know what it was. So one of my best friends at school, his name was Tracy. Okay. He had an older cousin that I have to shout out named Sean Baldwin. Okay. Sean Baldwin was in the streets at that time. He was a DJ. Okay. But he was in the streets. Right. And he went to prison. Okay. And he was gone for 10 years. Okay. He had a hellified record collection. Right. My boy Tracy was like, man, I'm going to go get my cousin Sean's records and bring them over to your house. I'm like, cool. Right. Bam. I had all the fingers, all the Farley, all the Marshall Jefferson, Lil Lewis, your shit, the original This Is Acid, and I Got a Big Dick. Right. Yeah, we can say that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I had all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? The Mike Dunn, MD3, MD Connection, all of those records, Armando Confusion, like all of that foundational shit. Yeah. All of a sudden I had it.
Gold mine.
So I was just gone. You know, I played sports as a shorty from 8 years old until sophomore year in high school. Right. Once this happened, it was like, I quit baseball and football cold turkey. I'm DJing. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And what ended up happening was, so I'm just in the crib making mixtapes. Again, I'm self-taught at this point. Okay. I'm making tapes. Tracy gave them to a couple of his older friends that he grew up under. Okay. Orphe Dejanay and Andre Dejanay. Okay. They were like, Tracy's like, man, this is white boy at school. It's cold. You got to hear him. And they're playing them the tapes. They're like, how the fuck does he even have these records? Right, right. Not knowing I got Sean Baldwin's records, who they know. Okay. So they wanted to meet me. They took me under their wing and, you know, took a liking to me right away. And Andre, R.I.P., he started taking me to the city. I went to Imports before it closed, which was like within that year because I think they closed in like 91.
They did.
So I started going to Imports, started going to Gramophone, starting to buy my own records. Okay. Matter of fact, I bought Altered States. It was one of the first records I bought in the city. I bought Altered States from Imports.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that was Imports. Okay. Terry Hunter's first record I bought was Symphony of Love on House Jam.
On House Jam.
And Jazzophone and all that stuff on it. So like that was like when I started to really discover the real depths of house versus me just knowing like the surface shit at first.
Now, mixer wise, was you like battle mixer or were you a rotary knob mixer? Which one?
No, fader mixer. I wasn't exposed to a rotary. I had probably a Gemini or some shit. You know what I'm saying? That used to have the sound effects on there and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or a Radio Shack. I don't even remember exactly what mixer. I know I had a Gemini at one point with the explosion and shit on there.
Going from that days, what was your first gig after that?
The very first party that I DJ'd?
Yes, sir.
One of my homeboys from school named Jason Sumling. Okay. Was in the same grade as me. So I think I was like maybe 16 at this point.
So that's back
just had a house party at his older sister's apartment. Okay. And I brought my turntables over there and my records and mixed, and I was terrible, I'm sure. Okay. But that was my very first party that I did outside of the crib. It was just a house party in an apartment.
Okay, so now your very first paid gig after all this.
To be honest, Mo, I can't even lie in this camera and say I remember.
Yeah.
You know, it's foggy times as a youth. You know what I'm saying? We were doing a lot of things, but I can tell you this: how I came up as a DJ in Elgin. If anybody knows about Elgin, Elgin is primarily a GD town.
Right.
There's other things sprinkled around, but that's the majority at that time.
Right.
And a lot of my guys that I grew up with, went to school with, had played football with as a shorty. You know, we became of age, they were throwing parties.
Right.
So our Elgin was a basement party culture. Yeah. We didn't have a club.
Okay.
You could rent a banquet hall sometimes, but the police would threaten the owners, like, don't let these people throw a party here.
Yeah.
So we had to throw parties in somebody's house. Okay. Somebody's mother, auntie, or somebody was taking some money or whatever to let you throw a party in the basement, $2 at the door. Right. That sort of thing. Okay. So I learned to DJ from doing those kind of parties. We played everything. It wasn't house music parties. Yeah. I played house music. Right. But at that time, too, you're talking about the early 90s, you know what I mean? And more like hood parties. So they want to hear the tracks. Right. They didn't want to hear, fingers, can you feel it? Right. They want to hear Magic Feet. Okay. And work that motherfucker. More tracky, more in the early. Yeah. I don't even feel like we were calling it ghetto house yet, but like the early 90s Dance Mania, Paul Johnson, Robert Armani, Eric Martin, that type of shit. Yeah. And the Cashmere Clubhouse Records, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, Out Here Brothers, you know, the early 90s. Yeah. But we would play hip hop and more street shit, more, gangster rap versus Tribe Called Quest. You know, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to know, because you got a hip hop background too, because you played hip hop.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always played like house music, and it's funny with me, and I'm sure we'll get deeper into this, but house music was what caused me to fall in love with the music and want to learn to DJ. Okay. At the same time, as a kid though, I had gotten into hip hop. I mean, like everybody in popular culture. Yeah. A lot of people in the late 80s, you know what I'm saying? I was coming home from school watching the videos. And so I was a hip hop fan too. And like probably shortly after mixing house, I would start to buy hip hop records. Okay. But I really kind of around the same time started playing hip hop along with house. Okay. But house was what made me really want to DJ that I spent the most time.
So now let's go to the late 90s. Were you spending anywhere in particular as a resident or anything during that time?
Yeah, but I still lived in Elgin. I didn't move to the city till 2002. Okay. So I still lived in Elgin. If anybody remembers, there used to be a club in Schaumburg, you probably know, called Toto's.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I used to go to Toto's as a teenager because it was the under 21 club too. Right. That same spot, Toto's was gone, but that same spot, one of my boys named Coop from Elgin started renting out, and he called it Club 98. Okay. And I was the resident there. Nice. When I was 21 in 96, I was a resident there every Friday and Saturday. Oh, dope. So I used to play. I mean, we had it for like 96 and 97. And sorry, guys, the folks fucked it up. They kept fighting. I mean, it was melees in the parking lot. Schaumburg police, they're like, no. Right. You are not going to keep doing it. They threatened the lady that owned the building and shit, so that got shut down. Okay. But the funny thing is, speaking about Kelly G, that's where me and Kelly G met. In 96. Really? Because he was on the radio at the time at GCI. Correct. And my guy Coop used to book DJs from the city to come out. He used to have Cowboy, RIP. Right. He used to have DJ Bo. He used to have Kelly G would come out. He used to have different hosts like Ramonski, Tornado. Yeah. Oh, nice. We had a show at One Way out. Matter of fact, Public Announcement came out and performed. That's when I first met them. Okay. So this is like 96, 97, I was a resident. Oh, okay. And that was why I ended up joining Little John's record pool, Urban Force. Yeah. At that time. That's how I was able to justify getting in the pool. It's because I had that residency. Right there. Yeah. And
Little John, he had that pool for a long time, man.
Yeah, so I that was my club residency. Okay. When I was 21, 22 years old. Dope. In Schaumburg. And then outside of that, I would do house parties, different gigs, private parties.
Because I remember we met in the city when we was doing something in the 2000s.
Yeah, that was in the 2000s. I was my boy Lucas.
Lucas he still owed me some money too. Lucas Payne.
Come on, Lucas.
Money, man. Stop.
He came from Elgin too.
Yeah, so see, I ain't playing with y'all, man. I come from the GD era. I want my money. So Who was it was Birdman and Lil Wayne was the
Yeah,
artist.
it was Birdman
and
and Lil Wayne. And then there was another one we did with Chico DeBarge.
That's right.
There was another one we did with K Michelle.
K Michelle. That's right.
I'm sorry, she didn't have that same booty when she first came out.
It was all flat.
It was different.
Okay, so
she was singing in the booth. She was standing next to me singing in the booth.
Absolutely,
with her guy playing the tracks off the iPad.
She sure was.
You remember that?
We was all in the booth right there. What club was that? Do you remember?
It was in like Burnham or whatever that's called over there.
Berwyn.
Berwyn or Burnham?
Berwyn.
I don't know. It was off of Cicero, like 70-something in Cicero.
Yeah, that's
whatever
right.
that is,
yeah,
right there.
Yeah.
Buzz Bomb.
That's right.
I still have the flyer.
Do you really?
On my Facebook. I'm gonna repost it.
Yeah, repost that one. Yeah.
I have the flyer and I have a picture me and you took.
Yep.
And I have a picture of me standing there with K Michelle.
Absolutely. I remember. I got one with Chico DeBarge too. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so take us from then. After that, what you do after that? And now, wait. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Were you into music at that time too, like producing music or making music?
Yeah, I started right in the beginning. I started with music. So, one thing about me is that my family is all music and art. My dad, he stopped doing it as a profession, but he was as serious as us up until his early 30s.
Oh wow!
But my dad still is a guitar player and a singer.
My
mom could play guitar and sing, although my mom as a profession was a painter. She was a professional abstract artist.
Okay.
So I grew up going to
the whole family created.
Yeah, I ended up going to art shows when I was a shorty.
Right.
My mom's studio was in the house.
Okay.
And my older brother, I only have one brother. He is a guitar player.
Okay.
And a musician.
Oh,
and actually, he's the head technical director for a production manager for Live Nation in Asia.
Get out of here.
He just sent me a video this morning of him doing the 50 Cent show in Bangkok.
See?
So he's out there doing like Ed Sheeran and crazy shit.
Right.
So I came from that kind of household, but I was an athlete when I was young until, again, I discovered the DJing.
Right.
My brother had a 4-track tape recorder already.
Okay.
I got like a little bullshit keyboard. I remember the first drum machine I got was a Korg DDD5.
Wow. Okay.
And I always hated the sound of it, but I learned how to program drums.
Right.
So I wasn't any good, but I started fiddling with making beats early.
Right.
And the very first, I would definitely want to tell this. The first time I ever went to the studio was in 90 or 91.
Okay.
My boy Andre that I talked about that passed away was very good friends with Armand Ransom, Professor Funk.
Oh yeah.
And so we went to Hair Bear Studios in Alsip, 127 in Alsip.
Yeah.
Jeff Islinger.
Yep.
And we worked on one of their cousins, one of Andre and Orphe's cousins, Nitty G, was a rapper. So we did a hip hop track with him.
Right.
And then we did a hip house track that Orphe rapped on.
Oh,
that was the first time I ever been to the studio, but it was Professor Funk and Andre, which I'm skipping around, but that's why me and Byron are like this. Me and Byron Stingley.
Okay.
Because Byron, his history, him and Armand were in a funk band together before they were doing house music.
Yeah.
I got introduced to Byron through Mario Durham, who was Mario Durham that throws the shows.
Really?
Mario, I've been on Mario since I was 15.
Get out of here.
That's my brother.
A small world.
So Andre was the link to Mario and Byron.
Okay.
So I didn't meet Byron when I was that young.
Right.
But once I did meet Byron later, he always treated me like family.
Right.
Because I'm the little guy under Andre and Mario.
Okay.
So that all came from Professor Funk, who RIP to him also.
Yeah. So let's move to almost like 2016, 2017, your first single with K Fox, right? Is that
2014.
correct? Oh, 2014.
We put out an EP.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had to say real quick, just because there's an important part of my history
Okay.
that people don't know, is that I was very involved in the independent underground hip hop scene in Chicago.
Speak on that.
In the late 90s.
Yeah, speak on that.
Late 90s to the early 2000s.
Okay.
So we had a group called Rec Center from Elgin.
Okay.
And we started in 96 for the first time. We started pressing up vinyl.
Okay.
Cassette tapes.
Right.
And then we put out an album in 99 that actually just got reissued by HHV in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were like rocking on the scene like Jesse De La Pena.
Okay, yeah.
Underground, like the North Side.
Yes, sir.
Blue Groove Lounge, Elbow Room.
Right.
That's when I linked up with Juice.
Okay.
In the late 90s, like 97. You know what I'm saying? That was that scene with All Natural, Rubber Room, Ange 13.
All that.
Like DJ Third Rail.
Yeah.
That whole rich independent hip hop scene in Chicago, I was very involved in at that time.
Wow.
So like I kind of which it's kind of why a lot of house people now are like, where did this guy come from?
Like he just came
I've
out
had
the
so
blue,
many
right?
different chapters and lives in music and in Chicago, but I like in the 90s, I went more towards hip hop and R&B. I always played house at parties, but I wasn't making house music. Right. I was putting my focus into producing hip hop first. Yeah. And then I learned R&B later.
Ah, gotcha. See, look at that. Y'all learning the history, y'all. And so, also you got ties to Julius the Mad Thinker, right?
So me and Julius go back to skateboards and Little League baseball.
Okay.
Before either of us, and I should mention, going back to those teenage years, Julius was a party promoter first. Okay. Before he started to DJ. Okay. He's 3 years older than me, but I started DJing before him. Okay. So I started in 90, he started in 94. Okay. But he used to throw parties. They used to have a group called Lamp Squad. Wow. Actually, one of his partners, Brian, is the wife of Juliana Stratton is his wife. Oh, the lieutenant governor. Really? Yeah, that's our homeboy that we grew up with. So they were throwing parties in a group called Lamp Squad. Okay. And sometimes he would throw parties at the crib when his mom was out of town. Right. And he would have me come over and DJ. Okay. And I was like 16. Right. So Julius moved to the city way before a lot of us from Elgin. Okay. And he started to, make his relationships in the city. He started DJing. Right. Again, he was like working at clubs and trying to promote parties and shit like that. And his DJ thing grew. And that led to him, being one of the co-creators of 3 Degrees. Wow. Which is a huge long running, for those that don't know. Right. Long running party Wednesdays at Zentra. Yeah. So I was always involved in house from afar and supporting him. Correct. But I was going more the hip hop route. Right. You know what I mean? But we always, to this day, we always just supported one another, whatever we were doing.
Zentra, you just said a whole flashback. Yeah. I remember those days.
It's a lot of chapters. We've lived a lot of life right at this point.
Absolutely. Wow. So, okay, cool. Yeah. So let's go to your first single. How did that come about?
For, on the house side? Yeah. So this is funny, right? Me and Terry Hunter, we probably met. Neither of us can remember actually meeting. Right. But, Terry, again, just like yourself, always was involved in hip hop and R&B as well as house. And a lot of people don't know that about him. Absolutely. But, just being in the Chicago scene, I moved to the city finally in 2002. Okay. And I joined the Soul Selectors with Lee and World. Right. Sean T was a part of it at the time. Yep. Jamal Smalls in the beginning. Yep. And I was just in the scene, going to the Crocodile Lounge, DJing, all that shit. Remember Tuesdays at Crocodile Lounge?
Absolutely.
And sometime around there, I met Terry. Okay. Me and Terry are 2 days apart and birthday, both Leos. We've just always got along. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But we hadn't done any work together. Okay. Like even when I was doing the Ben 1 stuff. Right. In 2008. Ooh, Ben 1. Yeah, and Never Leave My Girl.
Man, you make me go back now.
We got a single deal with Universal off of that.
I remember that, yep.
And Terry was working with the Pope. Remember the kid, the Pope, that was the dancer? And him and Twan Gabbs, R.I.P. Wow. And Tifu were developing him. Yep. And we were all running in the same circles and shit. So there was some stuff that Julius was working on back then in the late 2000s that I was helping him. Right. With the actual hands-on part of the production. Okay. And he was going around to DJs like Terry, probably gave it to you too, giving promos out.
Julius the Mad Thinker, right.
Yeah, because we never put the records out properly at that time. Terry knew that I was producing that stuff along with Julius. Okay. So I remember in 2008, Terry getting on the phone with me and being like, man, bro, why don't you do some house tracks of your own? Mm-hmm. At this time, I was working with Ben 1. I was just before starting to work with K Fox and Sly Polaroid. Right. Which is another chapter of life. A couple chapters of life. Right. So anyway, Terry was like, man, you should do some house tracks of your own. I'll put them out on my label Tease Box. I really haven't put anybody out except for my man Leonard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we'll promote it until, when WMC comes around next year, people are going to be like, damn, who's this new guy? You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm like, yeah. Okay. I just didn't do it because I was too wrapped up in in the course of that next 6 months, I started working with Kay. Yeah. Sly had come home from jail and I had the opportunity to work with him. Okay. You know what I mean? So I was too into being a producer in the studio. Right, I wasn't really focused on pushing my DJ agenda. I never stopped DJing, but I was focused on producing.
Now you was producing. Was you also engineering at the same time?
Oh yeah, I always did. Yeah. Okay. And it's funny. I I never mentioned the engineering thing because it's like that was never an aspiration of mine.
Yeah.
I just learned how to do it because I wanted to make my own stuff sound better.
Right.
And then I learned, oh, this is a trade too that I can do.
I think it's good, man, because you come from that hip hop side, which is your ear is different from so-called house engineer or any.
Yeah.
The nuance is a little different.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's what makes it your sound unique too, because people still can't get that. Like I tell people, when you got it, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you do. Like that's why I was like, that's why I use you on my stuff. I was like, I love the way your stuff sounds.
I appreciate that.
You know, and it's not because you don't come from the house side, so you ain't pushing this. Your nuances and sounds, man, it goes together. Yeah. And the tweaks it makes it sound really different. So I want to give you props on that.
Thank you.
But go ahead.
Thank you. So Terry wanted me to do that then, and I didn't really take him up on it. And I got deeper into working with Kay and working with Sly and went through all this stuff. And for a variety of reasons, this is crazy. In 2016, right? Mm-hmm. I met Lil Lewis through Julius.
Oh, really?
Because Lewis took a liking to what Julius was doing.
Okay.
We did a house record with K Fox singing.
Right.
And Lewis was giving Julius all these like engineering, detailed, constructive criticisms and tweaks to do. And Julius, because he doesn't speak that language, is like, I want to bring you to meet Lewis so he can tell you directly what he's saying.
Okay.
So that was how I met Lewis, who I was always a huge fan of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he heard Kay and took a liking to Kay.
Okay.
And so we started working with Lewis for K Fox's R&B project.
Really?
And supporting him on what he was doing with this multi-album thing.
Yeah.
I introduced him to Slang, the legendary graffiti artist that actually made this hoodie.
Oh, wow, that's hot.
That did those comic book drawings for him for that whole, those listening parties. We did his first listening party with him at Rex Club in Paris.
Wow.
So like, I gotta say I'll leave it at that was a very interesting experience that I learned a lot from.
Very interesting.
And I got a lot of inspiration though from that experience and seeing what he was doing.
Okay.
Seeing a lot of his video footage from the gigs in Europe.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I do want to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
when it hit you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it was a transitional point creatively. Like, I was ready for a new chapter.
Yeah.
And kind of rediscovering, like, for one, I was exhausted with, I'm putting my all into producing these artists.
Yeah.
And if they make it, I make it. If they don't make it, I don't make it.
Correct.
I got to take my destiny into my own hands.
Absolutely.
And I just want to do what I want to do without compromise. And if I'm being honest with myself, that's house music.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it was a variety of reasons. I just was like, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And that was really 2016 going into 2017. Okay. And I had that Do It record, the first record I put out on Teasbox. I already had that. We recorded that in 2015.
Yeah, because you can tell, well, people that don't know, I can know it was a different record. So I can tell, like, you took that a different way. Yeah. You know, I could tell that. But that's where your first introduction into the dance scene came in.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my first proper single that was put out on Teasbox.
Right.
So what happened was I had another track called Phoenix. Okay. That I already had done, that me and Julius put out independently, and it did jack shit.
Right.
When I tell you nobody bought it, nobody bought it. And that's why I saw like, oh wow, on Tracksource, that was my, like I knew about Tracksource, I bought stuff on there, but I'm like, I hadn't tried to put anything out and play that game.
Right.
It was like, it's a needle in a haystack.
It is.
And, Julius is known for Mikasa Holiday, 3 Degrees, all these things, but not a record label.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I sent the record to Terry, just like, hey, I finally been making some house shit. What you think?
Right.
That type of thing. And we got on the phone and started building. And he was like, man, do you know any assistant engineers? Because I'm not working with my man no more.
Yeah.
And I need some help in the studio. And I'm like, well, are you looking for an unpaid intern or is it paying? And he was like, I don't want nothing for free.
Right.
I was like, well, bro, I don't know if you know, like that's part of what I do for a living now is mix records for people. Like I'll hold you down. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of what I do.
Right.
That's how the conversations picked up where he was telling me to make some house records 10 years before that almost.
Yeah.
He saw I was finally doing it. He believed in me and my talent. And we always rock with each other. Like we always just got along super good.
Right.
And I could help him on the engineering side, holding him down because he doesn't like the mixes. Terry can mix.
Yeah.
he doesn't enjoy that part of it. He'd rather hand it off to the next person in the process.
I understand.
So we just started building, and then I proposed. He was always a fan of K Fox because No ID, and they all go back. Exactly. He had been wanting to work with her.
Exactly.
So it just made sense. So we put out Do It in 2017, and that's what started this whole wave.
Wow.
And I just know one thing, Mo, and you know this too, like, and this is definitely in my opinion, a jewel for anybody that's trying to do this. We've learned from trial and error. I don't care if it's hip hop, R&B, house music, pop, whatever. Consistency is key.
Absolutely.
You can't start a momentum on an artist campaign,
right,
and then slow down.
Absolutely.
Take a break.
Right.
You come back, you're starting over.
Yeah.
And I know that. I know that from trial and error, from working on so many different situations over the years. So I'm like, if I'm going to treat myself how I know it's supposed to go, I know what I have to do.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to do this, I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to be consistent.
Right.
And once I started doing that in 2017, I haven't taken a break on putting something out or remixes, originals, whatever.
And you see the progress on that, because now you got some top records that was on track source that you couldn't get on at first. Now you got
nobody was paying attention.
Right now you got a slew of records, but you know what you got to say is your work speaks for itself. You don't have even if you didn't promote, people going to pick out a jewel that's in it, and find that gem out there, because we know how much music is out there constantly. It comes out every day. So of course, with some highlights and with the help of friends, man, that got you out there, it's going to work, but your work speaks for itself anyway. So, I mean, no matter who it was, who could be, your work eventually was going to get seen and heard. So I'm glad that, you're getting the props that you do today, brother. And
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I had to say you have to have all things in line. I think talent in music is a prerequisite. You got to have good music, right?
Absolutely.
But talent without the opportunity doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Opportunity without talent doesn't work.
Yeah.
And somebody else, like, props to Terry Hunter, because he really has opened. I mean, everybody can see that. It's not a mystery.
Right.
He has opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
Even being embraced by chosen few. Much love to Wayne and Wayne Williams, Alan King, all of those guys on the DJ side, including me in events and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
People can open the doors for you, but you have to walk through them.
Absolutely.
And you have to still be a good person in the process.
Yeah.
Treat people well, show love. You know what I'm saying?
Can let you in, but if you can't do the work, and
you got to do the work.
You got to do.
It's a lot of people that complain about not getting opportunities and this, that, and the third. But it's like, you got to do the work. And bro, like, we're 10 toes in this thing. This is not something we do on the side.
Yeah.
Much love to everybody that has a stable job. Sometimes I wish I had a stable job in this music business.
I say that to everybody who try to get into this.
But like, it's different when you're 10 toes in.
Absolutely.
It's different.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's a big topic that you just said, man.
Yeah, like, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, if you're in
there's no right or wrong.
We know there's a different hustle when you get 10 toes in this. We know. I think that's why I'm so adamant about house music and so steadfast with it, because it's my livelihood.
Right.
It's what I do 24/7, man.
Right.
And I understand people got jobs and that's what they chose to do. But this is what I chose to do.
Yeah.
And I don't like people shitting on it, talking about it.
Right.
Saying it's easy, saying you just got to do this. No. You got to put in a lot of work in it, just like anything else, man.
When I was young, from 98 to 2004, I worked in property management. I worked for the same company for those 6 years.
Yeah.
And I left in 2004.
Right.
This be my 20th year anniversary. I have not had a job.
Yeah.
I've been self-employed. I have a job. I'm self-employed.
That, brother. That's good.
And man, it's hard.
It is.
So I commend people for, do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah.
It's not a knock.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a different level of commitment and dedication.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially when you have a family, you got to make sure that, you got to take your ego out and be like, okay, I got to provide for them what I need to do. So whatever you do, I have no problem with anybody doing that, so they can make it. But just, like you said, when you 10 toes in, it hits a little different.
Yeah, and you know what? If you do have a job and you still want to put records out and DJ and all that, you got to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be consistent.
Right. So let's move on to the other records too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 10 City, man.
Okay.
I know that's an honor because everybody came up with 10 City. How's that an honor?
Yeah.
Take us to the process of that so people know, man.
Yeah. Well, first, speaking of what you said, yeah, in my mind, I'm always still that 15-year-old kid. I'm a fan first.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of all the OGs that I was inspired by, yourself included.
I appreciate it, brother.
So, I mean, I never let my ego get outside of my body and not respect
right.
those that came before me that made me want to do this in the first place.
Right.
Byron is an icon in our world.
Yes.
You know, fortunately, I know him through people that was family to me.
Right.
And he embraced me.
Yeah.
But what really happened is we started working actually with an R&B singer named Soraya. That she was on The Voice before.
Soraya, yeah.
Soraya?
Yeah.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, Soraya, I don't know. Soraya, yeah.
Excuse me.
It's all good.
I know you're not going to edit that out either.
No,
it's fine.
It's all good,
absolutely. So anyway, we and my other partner, Shabazz Curtis, plays keys and always been a big part of music that I'm creating.
Right.
And so we were working with Byron on that. And he wanted to start doing some writing on some house stuff. No mention of any 10 City project.
Yeah.
Right. So I have another very good friend named Shannon Chambers.
Okay. Shannon
came from Elgin, is a DJ, producer, came up before me.
Okay.
It's like the same generation as you guys.
Yes, sir.
And he was proposing to collab on some stuff with me.
Yeah.
And he sent me the Be Free track. He sent me the sketch of that first, just on some like, hey, you want to collab on this?
Oh, wow. Okay.
He had the chords and the general bass line. That was already there.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, that's hot. So we developed the track a little bit, and we were like, who could we get on this? We're thinking all these females, like, maybe we can get, like, I don't know, Ann Nesby or somebody, like, throwing names out there. I'm like, well, I don't know her. Yeah. But you know what I could do? I could holler at B and see if he wants to write it, and he could get one of them to do the record.
Right.
So I hit Byron like, hey, could you hear writing to this? And we discussed getting this person, that person. So he started writing to the track and coming up with some ideas.
Yeah.
He came up with this Be Free idea. So us talking it through, me and Byron, I think it was me that said like, well, maybe that could just be a Byron Stingley record.
Right.
Or it was, I don't know, it was a mutual conversation.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of left it at that, right? So he called me back, I don't know, a week or two later and was like, hey, you know, we you know, this is my Byron invitation.
Right.
Hey, E, so, you know, I got this opportunity to do a 10 City album.
Yeah. And
I was wondering if it would be okay with you and Shannon if I use that as a part of this project.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
Is it okay?
Right, exactly.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Right.
You know, so I mean, that's you know, for a real house fan, that's a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To have an opportunity. And it was the first
single, yes.
That 10 City had released in 27 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously it did really well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the and to the point of where the album was Grammy nominated.
Yeah.
That first album, man.
Man, incredible opportunity. I got to kind of join the fraternity of people like you and Terry and Steve Hurley and, you know, y'all Chicago legends that did that thing.
No, I think that was a great year, man, because it was the first time for, you know, 10 City just coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that album was a great, I should say, a statue of how Chicago should have been, where everybody came together on it.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was great. I think it was great production. It sounded wonderful, man. And I was glad to be a part of it too. I was like a kid, you know, a small kid at Christmas, man, when Byron was like, hey, you want to put this on the album? Absolutely.
No,
I wasn't even thinking about it.
And it was super dope. The record that you did with the Better Man.
Yeah, with Josh Milan.
Josh Milan. Yeah, that was super dope.
Yeah, so we came up with the concept, man, and I was like, man, I was going to do a single. Like you said, it's going to be a single. I was going to release it. And then B was like, hey, Mo, how about we make this for the album? I'm like, man, absolutely.
Of course.
Without
what a great
it,
decision, because we all caught Grammy nominations for being a part of that project.
Absolutely, man.
So that was just a huge honor in the first place. And for, you know, the crazy thing is, me and Shannon kind of came back together and created that synergy in this chapter of life because of my friend earlier that I was talking about that introduced me to Byron and all that, Andre DeJournette. Yeah. He passed away in 2017 or 2018. I think it was 2017. And we had a big like celebration party out in Elgin.
Oh, wow.
To honor him in the way that we know he would want to be honored.
Yeah, that's dope.
We had a hell of a party.
Okay.
Shannon came in because Shannon lives in Tulsa now. He came in from out of town. A lot of us that came up together that are never in the same room.
Yeah.
We're all in the same room. And that's how we picked up conversation about collabing, I ended up introducing him to Terry, and we put some of his records out, and he's done some remixes on Mirrorball and Tease Box.
Yeah.
So that synergy came from Andre passing away.
Wow.
And so for that to lead to doing something with Byron, who the only reason I knew Byron like that was because of Andre.
Yeah.
And then it ended up getting a Grammy nomination. It was like serendipitous. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And not only that, you get the second album.
The second album. Thank God Byron trusted me and Shabazz to produce a lot of it. And we did five records on it. Me and Shabazz did 4, and I did one with Marshall.
Yeah. Which was dope. So, and was that? No, no, some of the singles went on number 1 on that, though. That you
Love
did.
Is Love did.
Love Is Love did.
Love Is Love went number 1 on Soulful House.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It did. Unfortunately, just because no knock on Byron and Marshall because they have nothing to do with it, but unfortunately the way that music comes out nowadays, I'm going to blame the system.
Oh, well,
it's not even just blaming the label. I'm going to blame the system because you don't see credits anymore.
No.
If you're not listed as an artist or listed as a remixer. The Be Free, I specifically asked for mine and Shannon's name to be listed. And a lot of people thought that was a remix because of the way it looked.
Yeah.
It was like, no, that's the original. But nobody would have ever known that we did it had we not done it like that.
Yeah, I
didn't ask for that on the second album.
I tried to do that on the second one, you remember?
Terry did a record, you did a record, you know what I'm saying? And no, people don't see that because it's just the way that the music business works now. You don't see the credits.
No, that was clever. And I asked you about that too. I'm like, man, how did that come about? You like, I just did it like that. So
I asked Byron first and he didn't have a problem with it. And I had to go through red tape with Ultra. Yeah. And then I had to have that written into the contract.
Yeah, no, it was good though. It should have been like that for everything because they don't do nothing else. They won't promote it or anything else. So it's like I give credit to us producers, DJs, because we really pushed that record more than the label did.
Yeah, for sure. That's just the way it is nowadays.
So I give everybody credit who was a fan, who was DJs all over the world,
absolutely,
for pushing that record and those albums, man, because the label wasn't doing nothing about it.
No, I think that's just the way it is nowadays. It's a bulk business now. No one record makes a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Unless it does, millions and millions of streams.
Right.
And so they just throw music out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and it is up to us to make it hot.
It is. So I want to go to the one I think it might be after that, Be Free. Let's go with the Robin S remix.
Okay.
How did that come about, brother?
So Terry called me about that. Terry's had a long-standing relationship with Ali from Real People.
Right.
Ali Lazarus.
Yes.
And I hadn't met Ali yet.
Okay.
So that was a conversation. I don't know exactly what the conversation was between Ali and Terry.
Right.
But Terry hit me and was like, yo, Ali from Real People wants you to take a stab at remixing Robin S. Show Me Love.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, because I ain't going to say no to that. But I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with Show Me Love?
Yeah, man.
Confession.
Yeah.
I never liked that record back in the days.
Wow.
Because, what was that, 93?
92-ish, yeah.
All right, so let's go back what I was saying.
Yeah. You wasn't into it.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm playing tracks.
Right. You like, hell no.
Tracks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was corny.
Yeah.
I know it's a huge record. I'm sorry. It's a great record.
No, it is. It was a remix. The remix is huge record.
As a young, dumb kid, I didn't like that kind of like commercial crossover house music.
Well, to be honest, it wasn't commercial until it became popular. It was an underground record.
Right.
Because Stones Ridge, that was a remix of the original.
Right, for sure.
So that's what made it more popular. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying.
Either way, I'm like, what am I going to do? This is not a record that's ever been in my repertoire. You know what I'm saying? As a DJ.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. And Ali, I got to give credit to him. Ali suggested to Terry, maybe Emmaculate could do something in the vein of Be Free with it.
That's dope.
So Be Free is what landed me that opportunity because Ali loved Be Free, the organic disco style.
Right.
So I was like, okay, now that gives me an idea.
Yeah.
Because I can't out Big Room House Show Me Love.
No.
But I could throw a curveball on it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
As you did.
And thank you. And so I just got to thinking about it and I thought of the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. I thought I heard that in my head.
Right.
So I just played it. I play keys simply.
Yeah.
And then I give it to a great keyboard player.
Right.
In this case was Shabazz Curtis to chord it out.
Yes, sir.
And so I had that riff and I came up with the drums and everything, sent it to him. He chorded it out. I had Lee England Jr. play real strings on it.
Because you know what? I called you on that too, man, because I was like, that's a great remix because I would have never thought in that direction. But then I also said, that's your lane.
Yeah, you
That's
did
you
call
right
me and
there,
say
yeah.
that. I remember that.
That's you right now. That's where you should take all your because that's you. It seemed like it's natural.
It is. I love soulful disco. I love jazz funk, especially. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge like I love the jazz funk disco particularly, but I like the soulful, real musician. You know what I mean? I love electronic tracks. I love acid house.
Absolutely.
I love all. You know what I'm saying? I like deep shit. I like Afro shit.
Yeah.
We play. I love hip hop, R&B, dancehall, all of that shit.
Hey,
but
brother, that's dope, man. That's
but yeah, I mean, I feel like there are not a lot of people that are attempting to produce records like that.
Yes, sir.
You got your Dave Lees and people like that that are amazing at it. He's an amazing producer.
Yeah.
Or Michael Gray or Opalopo, people like that that are great, musically. But with that essence that we come from, even myself being generations behind the originals, I still am a product of that lineage of the essence of Chicago house music and disco.
Absolutely.
So for us to do it I feel like it's going to come out differently.
Yeah. And
thank God I did spend all of those years working on R&B and stuff like that because I've learned how to work with musicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the thing is it's not producing ain't making beats.
Right. Totally different.
It's going from A to Z.
Absolutely.
With everything involved.
They want sheets and everything, sheets of music so you can read and everything. So yeah.
You got to know the process. And so thank God that one came out and that did me a world of good. And it was the top selling song of 2022 on Track Source.
Yeah, that's good.
That was
congratulations, brother. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
So now we get that out the way. Mm-hmm. What is new for the new year for DJ Emmaculate?
Well, if people don't know, so I started managing Teasbox for Terry in like 2018.
Okay.
So I've been the label manager of Teasbox for a while.
Oh, okay.
The Mirrorball label we launched together, so I'm a partner in that.
Oh, okay, good.
So if people have noticed, like we've been putting a lot more music out on Mirrorball.
Yeah.
We're not Teasbox isn't going anywhere. Tease Crates isn't going anywhere. We're going to continue to release music on that, but we've been putting more energy into Mirrorball.
Okay.
So we have a lot of music planned to put out that we already have in the can, as well as, hey, anybody that's watching this, Eric at Teasbox Records. Send me demos.
See?
Send me demos. We're looking for great music to put out.
Y'all having the opportunity now. Walk through that door now.
Yeah, Mirrorball is not. I mean, it gives the idea of disco, but it's not just about disco. It's about out of the past into the future.
Dope.
So that could be anything. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We've put R&B records out. We put Shantae Savage out.
Yeah.
Or a lot of stuff. So,
and you still do your Instagram, your live.
The Twitch. Do Twitch on Mondays, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, One World.
One World.
I'm actually doing that on Terry's Twitch channel. We decided to strengthen numbers. Yeah. It's hosted from my channel, so you can get there from my channel also.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that. I got a record with Glenn Underground coming out called Footwork on Strictly Jazz Unit.
Yep.
I'm working on a remix right now again for Real People's label of the At Jazz Home song.
Okay.
Finishing that. I got a record called Way Up High. I mean, I don't know when this will air, but it's going to come out probably in January 2024 on Mirrorball.
Okay.
That's kind of an Afro type of joint.
Okay.
I know I'm forgetting records, but the focus is simple. Continue to create, continue to put music out.
Yes.
I'm booked for Southport Weekender in March, so I'll be in Europe in March.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just keep it pushing, man. Keep on building the business. We're working on new documentary concepts as we speak.
Nice.
To get more projects, to get deeper into this film production thing.
Yeah.
Good.
So people that know, like, what is your go-to DAW software you use, like, to create everything you're doing now?
Create Logic, 100%.
That's why I knew I like you, man.
Logic. I've been using Logic since like 2008. Shout out Bugs. Bugs the Beast. You know Bugs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bugs got me on Logic. Me and Bugs used to be production partners at a point in life. He's killing the game right now in the commercials, hip hop and R&B scene. He's killing it.
Yeah.
But Logic, man, all day. But I mix in Pro Tools.
Okay, well,
so like when you send me files, Terry sends me files. I'd go straight to Pro Tools.
No, that's dope.
I just I've been using Pro Tools since 2000.
Yeah,
That's where I'm comfortable.
Okay.
Mixing, even if I got to record, I'd rather record. But as a creative tool, Logic.
Okay.
All day.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir.
Well, brother, I appreciate you this, man. Immaculate, man. This is great, man. I just wanted to come together because, like I said, I'm about to start to do the series that everybody started from the 90s on up. So I'm getting everybody together. I'm glad you're the first one I can have right now on the show for this. I
appreciate it. It's an honor.
I love you, brother. Appreciate your work, man.
Back,
appreciate everything that you do for me and everybody else. And I'll put all your social media stuff on it when we get on the show, man. There's know what's going on. But thank you again. And thank you for watching Everything House Music More. Peace.
Peace out.